Guys, welcome back. Thanks for joining. Today I'm going to be going over a super simple haircut that you'll see in the shop a million times. It's a number 2 back and sides with a bit off the top, and we're doing a beard trim. I'll be going through each little step. These are your bread and butter haircuts that will make all the money, but I see barbers not doing it correctly. So tune in and we'll go over these little details. They'll make all the difference. Alrighty, now before we get into any cutting, the consultation is super important. Okay, I'm going to say, all right, immediately as they sit down, what number would you like on the back and sides? They'll say, oh, I'm not too sure, blah, blah, blah. Or they might know immediately. It's always good when they know immediately. Let's say, obviously, this guy said number 2, so I said, okay, sweet. Then I'm going to say, how do you style it on the top? Okay, because we need to know if they style it back, we'll cut it a certain way. If they put it up into the side or down, we'll cut it a certain way. So it's really important, okay? They'll tell us that. Now we've got a plan. That's the most important thing. Then I'll ask, are we going to do the beard? In this case, we are, okay? Now, the reason we need to do all this is we need a set plan. When people are too blasé about, maybe this, or yeah, short but not too short. No. I need to know exactly, okay? It's going to be crystal clear. Then I'll double check, triple check. Sweet. Happy with that? Okay, cool. If need be, show photos, guys. If they don't have a photo, especially if it's a client where, you can tell he's a bit wishy-washy. He's not too sure what he wants. We need to be crystal clear, okay? Not rude, but just assertive, okay? And especially if you work in a walk-in shop, guys, you don't have time to, or even a booking shop, probably more a booking shop, to be honest. You don't have time to be going back and, oh, you know what? We'll just do a skin fade. If you've already done a number 2 and you've finished the cut, it's a waste of time. Same as doing like a burst fade, and then he says, you know what, I actually just want a mid fade, get rid of the back. No, we don't have time. Time is money, guys, okay? So like I said, we're not being rude, but we're just being assertive, and we're like, we need to know exactly what we're doing. Once agreed upon, then we can start, okay? Also, guys, just forgot to add, I did recommend doing a number 1 to the 2, just because he doesn't get haircuts too often. He initially said, let's do 2. I said, maybe we'll fade it from a 1. He said, yep, let's do that. Now, another thing. Everything I just said can be done in 15 to 20 seconds, 30 seconds. And that's not even rushing. That's just talking normally, okay? When we see online all these long consultations and this and that, and they're going for 5 minutes, if that's what you want to do, sure. But guys, that's a waste of time in my opinion. You don't need to do that. You can get everything out crystal clear on the same page, 15 to 20 seconds, 30 seconds max, and then we can just get started, okay? And it's not even in a rushed way. Alrighty, guys, let's get into the cut. So, 2 non-negotiables for every haircut. We're going to wet the hair, and then we're going to clip it up. We're going to section accordingly depending on the cut. For this, we're just doing a normal standard clipper cut, okay? So, I'm going to, where the head starts to round is where I'm going to put my clips in. And then I'm actually not going to go crazy with wetting the sides. More just wetting the top so I can actually section. The reason being is when I come through with the clippers, it's just going to, I find it's a lot easier to work with when it's not so wet. As you can see, I'm coming through with my number 2, knowing that's going to be the highest guard that I'm using. If you want to be safe, you can use a higher guard like a number 3, but number 2, he's got good hair texture and it's not too thin or anything like that, so we're just starting with the 2 and see how I'm feeding. I'm using the comb to help me feed through the hair with my clippers. You'll see me do multiple passes on either side and the back, okay? The reason why we're doing all that to make sure that it's all nice and level is, like we always say, we want to work very cleanly, so every step of the way is done properly, and there's not much need to go back later on and touch it up. Obviously, we probably always will, but it'll be very minimal, rather than having to come back and start all over. Now, guys, I've done my longest guard. I'm going to grab, this is a super important technique to learn. We're going to grab our next guard down. So in this case, it's the 1.5. And then we're going to fade just under where we did the 2. Okay? And then we're gradually going to go down guard by guard, down to what we actually want to end up with. In this case, it's a 1. Okay? This is a technique that is really awkward to learn at the start. But then once you get it, you're going to do standard haircuts in half the time, maybe even faster. Okay, and it doesn't sacrifice quality. It's something you need to practice a bit. Just learning what fits into what. Meaning sometimes you might do a 1.5, maybe with the lever a little bit open, fits into a 2 pretty good. Then we might close the lever. Then we'll come through with our 1 with the lever maybe a little bit open, and then we'll close it. So it's just getting to know what fits into what with what guard, and when to open the lever. So that's the hard part. You kind of have to learn it through trial and error. Now, 2 important tips. Come back and refine like any other fade, okay? That's one tip. The next tip is whatever guard you're doing, you're starting on one side of the head and then you work your way around the other side of the head, all on the same level, okay? Then you move to the next guard. Alrighty, now we've done the clipper work. Now we're going to grab our trimmers and our comb and just do the perimeter. This is such an important part and such a simple thing. People do it really lazy. Hairdressers, barbers, I see it all the time, okay? There's little bits sticking out. Because we've done a number 1, we probably don't need to taper in any excess with the comb, but do this part properly. Even when you do the sideburns, guys, stand in front of the client. Make sure they're both even. When you do the C-cup, make sure they're both even. When you're doing the neckline, make sure they have their head all the way looking down when you do line up the neck, especially in kids. So you see it from a different angle, a true angle, and then you can make it sure that it's even, okay? Keep in mind, this is the stuff that their family members, their friends, their girlfriend, their partner see when it's uneven and wonky. So it's, like I said, really, really simple, but people mess this up. So take your time with it. Mind you guys, when barbers and hairdressers do the perimeter really lazy in the lineup and all that, and the neckline's all messed up and there's a few stray hairs sticking out, it's just pure laziness. I'm telling you, you'll get ahead of 95% of barbers. I've seen it at every shop I've worked at. It's just a lack of care. Alright guys, we're on to the next phase of the haircut. You just saw me blending the sides with some scissors, softening that ridge, the weight that we left with the clippers. Now I'm working on the top. I've just pulled it up, asked how much do you want off, and we're doing this pull back technique, okay? And then obviously we'll always come back and cross check. If you want to do a profile section down the middle and then use that as a guide, absolutely fine, whatever you're comfortable with. But keep in mind, we're going to always cross check. I came through the middle. Now I'm going to come through the left side and then the right side. Now see how I'm like angling, like on a diagonal, on that corner. That's when we get to the super, super far side. So when I'm super, super left, I'll use that to help me blend the ridge, just connect it to the sides. And then once I do the right side, the coming through, then I'll do the super, super right side on that corner, and that'll help blend even more. Now I'm pulling up and we're cross-checking. Any excess parts that are sticking out, we're going to cut off, okay? So now we're looking at the hair from a different angle to make sure it's even. Now, super important, pull up the fringe diagonally and take that corner off. If we don't do that, then there's going to be a lot of excess hanging off the fringe and it's just going to sit awkwardly. Because my client has such thick hair, I asked if I could take some weight out of it. And if you do want to take weight out of it, always ask. Now, all we've got left to do is just dry the hair. I like to dry it into the style I'm going to be styling it, so I can see how it sits. I think it's really important every cut. You need to dry it and see how it's sitting, and then we can refine accordingly. In this cut, I refine really just by texturizing it a bit more when it's dry. That's not a necessity, I just like to do it. Now guys, this video is intended for barbers because I want you guys to do even the simplest of haircuts to 100%, to an A++ rating, okay? And if you follow this, you'll be able to do it. But that doesn't mean if you're watching this and you're not a barber or you're not a hairdresser, you can't do this at home. You can absolutely do it at home. As you can see, I've laid it out. It's super simple. So there's no good reason to be messing this up. I'm in Australia, guys, so this haircut, I'd say average, is $40 now for a standard haircut. You can do this in 10 to 15 minutes, okay? This guy came in with a hair, head of hair that he hadn't cut in 6 months, 7 months, and this was like a 15-minute, cleanup. And we didn't sacrifice any quality, anything like that. So just do it right, and these are the moneymaker cuts, trust me. Now I'm just putting a little bit of flair on the fringe. I'm going to be using my round brush to just curl it up and give it more of a quiff appearance. Now, moving on to the beard. Same thing like we did the hair. We have a mini consultation. I ask him, what's the chin length going to be? Apologies, because I do forget. I think we did a number 3 on the chin or a number 4. So once we get that down, I ask, what number do you want the sides to be faded to, if you do want them faded? And then we agreed to the 1, so it connects to the back and sides. And then we're going to gradually fade it to the chin, okay? So I'm going to start with my longest guard, which was the 3 or the 4, working on the chin, working on the whole beard, because I'm going to bring it down all level, so it's all even. And I'll do a few strokes, guys, to make sure it's all even. And I always double check, are we trimming the soul patch? And more importantly, always double check, do you want to trim the mustache? Because a lot of guys these days like to grow out the mustache. So confirm that with them. And then typically with the mustache, if they do want it trimmed, I'd say a number 2, and then we'll use our 1.5 guard closed, coming down with it, just to trim it from a different angle. I'm starting to fade the sides now. You can fade from, the 3 to the 2 to the 1, or you can do the 1 to the 2 to the 3. Just like fading on the back and sides of the head, you can fade up or down, whatever you're comfortable with, or whatever you feel like you get a better result with. This is another nice little tip. I'm going to use the 1.5 guard to just come down and just taper it in the neckline a bit more, so I can come back later and line it up with a bit more ease. If I need to use my comb to taper it in more, I'll do that. After lining up the lip, and we don't want to go crazy with the lip, we just want to get any excess hanging down. Then you see how I've reclined my client back, and I'm using the comb, like I was saying. I'm using the comb to help me just taper it in a bit more with my trimmers, and then I'll start lining up the neckline. Guys, some people, especially depending on their weight, if they're a bit chubbier, this or that, like really chubby guys or really skinny, if they've got strong jawlines, the neck underneath can be really tricky to line up. So take your time, look in the mirror, and just get it even. Whether you want to use your trimmers to put in a line on the cheeks, or you're going to use a straight razor, completely up to you. If you aren't a barber, maybe you're a hairdresser, or you're just cutting from home, I'd probably recommend just sticking to the trimmers. Just pushing down the line with the trimmers, and then that line will be good enough. Unfortunately, I don't have the footage of me actually lining up the cheeks, but yeah. Now, guys, we followed all the correct steps. We did everything we needed to. We didn't rush, all right? Remember how our guy came in? He came in disheveled, overgrown, and then he's going to be walking out looking like $1 million. Boom, all right? These haircuts are non-negotiable. Standard haircuts we should be doing to a high quality. Just because they're standards, guys, doesn't mean we do them chopped up and messed up, all right? Anyone can do it, but as barbers and hairdressers, we need to be doing this properly, okay? Hope you learned something, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Please share, comment, all that good stuff, like, and then come back and watch this video if you need a bit of a freshen up, or you just want to cut your friend's hair or whatever, and I'll see you on the next one. All right, thanks guys.